Hello and welcome everyone to Ukrainian Blockchain Hub. I am Maria Vovchok and today I'm interviewing Juwan Lee, Vice Chairman, Director of Asia Pacific Digital Institute, CEO of Nexchange, and entrepreneur who has over more than 30 years of experience. Am I correct, Juwan?
Yes, I have been around for a long time.
Yeah, so we will talk about a bit later, but the main topic why I wanted to interview you is Hong Kong Blockchain Week, which is to happen at the beginning of March. So how are the preparation going?
Well, as you know, with any large-scale event, there's a lot of moving pieces. But I'm happy to say many of the pieces are moving together. So we are very excited to be hosting Hong Kong Blockchain Week from March 2nd to March 6th.
Tell please exactly the place, the time, and how do you feel now? I mean, this is really large scale. This is not the first time. How was the previous time, and how do you think the next time will be?
Sure. So this is our second annual Hong Kong Blockchain Week. Last year we had 4,000 plus people. We had almost, I would say over 170 speakers from 50 plus countries. And we did all of that when Bitcoin was at, 3,000 plus. So it was a very difficult period of time. However, we were able to galvanize the community and they all came together. This year, we'll be hosting the event from March 2nd to March 6th. But the main event, which is called Block 020, will be on March 3rd to 4th. We'll be hosting this event at the Ocean Marriott, in Hong Kong.
So now Bitcoin is over $8,000. Is it going to be easier or not?
Well, it's always a challenge to bring this many people in the blockchain community to one place at one time. I think it's important because you really need to reach out to the community, right? Blockchain people have a sense that they want to feel like this is the next big event to go to. And so bringing that momentum into Hong Kong, we're very excited. We believe we can execute, but, we still have a little bit of ways to get there.
Okay, whom among speakers are you expecting like the most and you would like to introduce them already? So it's 100% they're definitely be on the stage. And are you expecting to listen to their presentations yourself probably?
I listen to every presentation.
I know, but I mean, whom? Okay, it's not very proper, but probably some of your acquaintances whom you consider are very worth listening to. You may mention now. Please do that.
Sure. We have a number of high-profile speakers. We have Tom Trowbridge, the president of Hedera Hashgraph. We're going to have the Undersecretary of Innovation and Technology from Hong Kong. So it's a government-supported event, Dr. David Chung. We have Dr. Ben Gersel. I'm sure many people are familiar with SingularityNet and the Sophia, the robot from Hanson Robotics. And also we have Mai Fujimoto, Miss Bitcoin. So we have a good roundup. By no means is this the only speakers. We already have 70 plus speakers that have already signed up. But we're having many more higher profile speakers as well that are coming on board, but we haven't been able to announce them yet. Okay,
what about, for example, Henry Arslanyan, who's the head of Fintech and in Asia and crypto? If I'm not mistaken, he's also, he will be speaking on the stage.
Yes, Henry will be speaking. He's one of our featured speakers. And he is the current chairman of the Fintech Association and the head of Fintech and crypto for PwC.
Yeah, as well. We've been speaking, and also he's having now, if I'm not mistaken, lectures on Fintech in Hong Kong Institute.
Yes, I think he wears many, many hats, and that's why he's a feature speaker. Most people generally that we have speaking that are, they are where they are today because they're doing many things and they're very good multitaskers.
They are very experienced as well as are you. For example, as I mentioned, you are in financial services for over 30 years, 13 of them, if I'm not mistaken, you spent in Silicon Valley. You've been running asset management companies, hedge funds, VC funds, and now you're mostly into crypto. So my question is, you've been dealing a lot with traditional fiat money and cryptocurrencies now. So what would you choose, fiat or crypto?
Well, I think it's a combination of both, but I think where we see is that there's just so much more evolution that's taking place just by looking at the small market capitalization of crypto versus a general asset class. It represents, a tiny fraction, much less than 1%. So the growth is going to be coming from crypto. But it doesn't mean that fiat goes away. It just means that it's a complement, and then there is a new asset class that it will start to become a more significant portion of what I think institutions will have to look at in the future. So it's rare that you get to see a new asset class develop in a career, and I've been able to see this evolve.
You stated before that cryptocurrencies and blockchain will have the most impact on financial services. So when do you expect there will be the time when cryptocurrencies will be like really a top one priority if we are talking about finances? And will there be some this time or not? Or still it will be like different asset, still it not so important, not on the same level as fiat. Is it possible, or does it sound like utopia, something like that?
Well, I think what it is that, every industry that is evolving at a hyper pace has the whole hype curve.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen the hype curve move up dramatically in 2017 and come down dramatically in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, the reality curve is moving up and the hype versus reality curve are intersecting. But just bear in mind that no one would ever find any interest in any industry if there wasn't hype. Because if you just look at the reality, it takes so long. How can anyone be, how can a real movement happen when the reality of an industry takes a much longer time to execute? In terms of the impact of blockchain and crypto on finance, I think or decentralized finance is one of the main topics, but this is only in the beginning phases. I believe that blockchain in finance is very important because innately it's an industry where there's a lot of middlemen, right? And whenever you talk about blockchain, you want to get rid of the middlemen, focus on consensus, and figure out other ways of providing security of transactions. So it's a natural place. Many losers will be littered, but the few that win, they'll win very big.
Okay, when do you expect the next hype to happen, and will it happen?
Sure, that's actually a very good question. Generally, an asset class doesn't have hype or a bubble back to back. Okay. So what I expect to see is a gradual pace of the evolution, and that it will become much more measured, and it will not necessarily happen in the same way of the hype. So what we see in the next, let's say this year we'll start to see evolution of the real technology, the use cases, but the hype of it won't be as accelerated as before. Generally, you get a lot of hype when the market cannot be quantified. People don't really understand the industry. And then and there's really no earnings or no revenue. So people are looking at pie in the sky. Generally, the people that are involved in the market are not experienced. They don't have strong hands. They don't have a lot of capital. So what happens is that you just get a lot of momentum built on euphoria. When the real players come in, just like what we saw in the dot-com bubble and the bursting of the dot-com bubble, afterwards, real companies were established. So out of a negative situation generally comes tremendous amount of ingenuity and strong companies, because it takes a lot for them to survive during this kind of period.
So do you expect now like main players come into game? this year or next year, because the hype has ended and still we don't have another one. So during this period, is this the best time for like main institutional players to enter the game?
Well, already there's a tremendous number of financial services company involved in blockchain. Just because they're not talking about it publicly, it's probably a lot of private blockchain. So I mean, almost every major institution is involved, but they're just not making big announcements, I think. What we
making some, but still not big amount of them.
Sure. So what we're seeing is that you know, there are tangible evidence of real technology that might serve as a backdrop, but the most important thing is use cases.
Mm-hmm.
Industries develop not based on the technology, but the use case. You don't care what's behind a television. You don't care that it's run by a chip. You don't really care about, you know, all the technology involved. You care about what the shows that come on it, right? So in a way, we will succeed with blockchain and crypto if people don't focus on blockchain and crypto, but just focus on use cases, and they don't even know that blockchain is behind it.
I see. May you also outline the main crypto / fintech trends for 2020? Because I'm sure that many people would like to know them better and probably make their own research on that.
Sure. I think one of the biggest trends is the digital renminbi. I was recently in China, mm-hmm. and definitely there is a movement towards the world moving its crypto epicenter to China.
Really?
That will be a major trend in 2020. Uh-huh. We see that there will be other digital currencies that will start to be pairs traded, and announcements will start to be made. I believe that it will become an important part of not just trading between different digital currencies, but trading from the fiat and also to the digital currencies. So that's going to be very important. The other thing I would say is a very important trend is DeFi, decentralized finance. It's already happening. It's one of the hottest trends in the Silicon Valley. We see that many companies are using blockchain, the distributed ledger, as a means of recording, having the ability to have immutable information. So this is all kind of coming into play. I think there will be trends where it won't be just private blockchain, but you know, DeFi will be involved very much in the public blockchain. Mm-hmm. Well, the other trend I see is the health industry will be definitely a beneficiary of records and the whole life cycle of a patient, that we go from birth to death, and that it's not, you know, something that the records or payments or insurance resides with any institution, but you have a lifelong record that you can keep over, blockchain, that you can then look on and see the history behind your own health. We see quite a bit of trend in terms of the evolution that we'll see more and more examples of how the STO market will evolve. It's a good thing that there's been, it's underhyped right now, mm-hmm. because the regulatory framework as well as the infrastructure in place. But I assure you, if not by the end of this year, early next year, there will be a massive STO, then everybody will be jumping into this as well. So what I think is that, you know, we're moving into a interesting next phase of blockchain and crypto. More institutions are talking about it. They're not actually pulling the trigger in terms of investing in this asset class. However, we'll start to see visible signs that there will be more and more assets going into this space by larger players.
Okay, thank you. Afterwards, after our interview, I'll make research by myself on this crypto trends, because you're talking very interesting stuff. Juwan, also talking about healthcare, you mentioned your platform, Nexchange. I was interested to find out that you're focused like on healthcare, fintech, blockchain, media. What did I miss? This is really interesting. How did you mix it up, and how these like media and healthcare, how they are gonna be like interrelated here? From my part, I'm interested in medias, for example.
Yeah, so what we do is we focus not just on blockchain, okay? We focus on fintech, AI, health tech, and smart cities, and these days now in entertainment technology. So we're not just focused on blockchain. But what we find is that by involving ourselves in these kind of different verticals, and some are not verticals, like blockchain is not a vertical. So what we find is that the opportunities in blockchain we see way before they will be appearing in the blockchain world. So we will be talking to a health tech company. They're not interested in blockchain, but as they evolve and become larger, they start to delve into blockchain. We were talking to them years ago. So these kinds of things are very beneficial, and we find that we get an earlier edge. And what we're doing with health tech is we are investing and we are helping to venture build some of these type of companies.
I see. This is really important, I think, in terms especially healthcare as well. I didn't see it before, but I would like to also find out about your platform as well more in the future. So as far as I mentioned before, Juwan, this interview will be also viewed by Ukrainian crypto community and some of the community from the countries abroad from in our crypto chat, which I mentioned before. Maybe would you like to invite them and please tell them a few words about the upcoming Hong Kong Blockchain Week, because I'm sure a lot of them would be interested in.
Well, first of all, I have been to Ukraine and where you are in Kiev many times.
So,
yes.
Have you been here?
But I haven't been there when blockchain became prevalent. So
okay, because
I must say I want to return.
Okay.
Message I want to send to them is that you know, Ukrainian blockchain community is vibrant. It's becoming much more, I would say, broad-based, that they have many more things to offer than just the programming. They have interesting products. And by the way, I'm also an advisor to a company in the Ukraine as well that's focused on blockchain. So what I would do is I would love to invite them all to come to Hong Kong Blockchain Week. And why? Because we're starting to see very interesting use cases. And Hong Kong has one of the largest penetration of banks in the world, where decentralized finance will be very important. And what I think you'll find is that there will be many customers that you'll find in Hong Kong for the Ukrainian community. And I would invite you to come and meet them, because there's institutions, there's startups, there's collaboration with many of the people in the ecosystem, and there are investors that are investing in projects. So please come between March 2nd and March 6th, and especially March 3rd and 4th to the Block 020.
I think it's important everybody who would watch it, they will definitely consider coming to Hong Kong Blockchain Week. Thank you so much, Juwan, for an interview. Today, I was interviewing Juwan Lee, Director and Vice Chairman of Asia Pacific Digital Institute and CEO of Nexchange. I am Maria Vovchok from Ukrainian Blockchain Hub. See you next time, and thanks for watching.